here in just about 2 minutes.
Thanks for being patient, y'all. It's a big day. It's a real big day. Hey, Chris, you gonna stand up with us?
No, oh, of course.
Is she? No, I love it. She can get her. That would be Ellen Rosenblum may show up.
Oh, great.
Her and my sister are best friends. They've been, and then Lynn Saxon. They've all been, they all do birthdays together every year.
Ah, sweet.
Thank you again. I'll watch one. Y'all. Anybody wants to be up there with us, you can be up there with us. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Well, it's just perfect. And I was looking, I didn't go in the attic for my stickers. I got a Chris Tomlinson.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Do you want to stay?
Oh,
Keep an eye out.
Okay.
Drag her out here.
yeah,
If
yeah,
she'll-
for sure. For sure. She's come to the front.
You were standing on the steps.
Pretty well, thanks. My husband's
Joe, right? I'm sorry. Your husband, Russell. I met Russell.
We need a few more bodies on the right-hand side over here, fellas. Ladies.
Okay, let's go ahead and spread out a little bit and get in here.
A lot of us don't like to be on.
Step forward a little bit. Step forward a little bit. Come forward. Come forward. Yes, side by side.
Mark, can you just speak a few words on this?
Off the steps.
Okay, test. Jenny, you get the informal V. Yeah, come up side by side. Mix it up. Women and men. Come on, they wear a mixed crown. Come on, Chris. Come on, Frank. Come on. Good, good. Come on. Come on, baby. Back, go back row on this group. Come on, Penny. Come on up alongside. Good doctor.
Oh, I got a new sign.
Penny, come on. Up here. So, Emmy, your last name again is? You American? All right. Well, we welcome the members of the press today to this historic conference. Tell us who's here, because I well know, but I just like to. We'd ask your whole story, but just say who you are again and what station, so everybody knows.
My name's Ariel Yakabazi. I'm with Point 6.
And what does Ken Baldy call you?
He calls me Yakabazi.
All right. Okay. Thank you for being with us. And with you again?
I'm also with Point 6, Matt Rashley.
Yes, you've been here before. Thank you.
Richard Gordon with KGW News.
Richard, thank you for being here always.
David Kazan with K2.
Dave, thank you for being here. And we want to begin by saying to the members of the press, we so honor your work. You are journalists. And in this day in which we're living in this nation, that fourth part of government is so important, the journalists and the writers and the stories you tell. That's how we get stories out, truth beyond just the corner of 15th and not in Portland, but we could not have gone on this journey without the members of the press who covered it so ethically and well. Your reporting, when you're local like this, you are the best. And the national ones too, international. But again, we can't say thank you enough. We have members of our congregations who are journalists as well, and family members. And you are storytellers. You take it far beyond. So thank you for what you do. There wouldn't be any great movement in this world if we didn't have journalists. My name is Reverend Dr. Mark Knutson, Senior Pastor here at Augustana and Chair Lift Every Voice, Oregon. We're going to be doing 2 to 3 minutes each, so by a little after 4, we'll be concluding this with questions. But this is a big day in Oregon, in this nation. The Oregon Court of Appeals has declared that Measure 114 is constitutional. And we all knew that because we have the best legislative minds around working on this for these last several years. As we say in the church and in the synagogue, the mosque, the temple, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It's a day to give rejoicing in a country that's living with a lot of fear right now. A lot of people afraid, whether they be immigrants or members of the LGBTQ community or black and brown sisters or indigenous leaders, federal workers, members of the media. We need good stories to share of hope that is birthed in the midst of challenges. And as you all know, 2016, we came together as leaders to work on ending gun violence. Well, far beyond that, way back. I look at the leaders around me, they've been doing it for a lifetime. But in 2018, after Parkland, in February 14th, Valentine's Day, that horrific shooting, we all came together in early March and formed Lift Every Voice Oregon. An interfaith group. We want to show interfaith groups working closely together. Jewish, Muslim, Native American spiritual leaders, Hindu, Buddhist, Sikh, other people of faith, Christians, other people of faith, and just goodwill who don't attend a church but have great ethics and care for one another. And so we formed this statewide organization, and we made 3 tries. We ran out of time in 2018 to get on the ballot, but we went for it. As my wife Tamara, who cannot be here today, she said, Mark, you never give up. You keep on going, all of us, because love is active and can make a difference. 2020, we were all set to go, and the pandemic came right about this time. And so to take care of public health, we decided not to pursue it. That would not be responsible because our campaign is all about public health and safety. And then 2022 came, and we began far in advance, and then Boston came and Uvalde, and that changed the tone. Teenagers, junior high students, 5-year-olds went together with others to write letters to campaign to see democracy in action. And because of this groundswell of elders and young people, we got 161,000 signatures, which was unheard of in the most diverse coalition in Oregon, ethnically, faith-wise, gender, all the ways, because, you know, equity, diversity, and inclusion are scriptural terms. And that's what this campaign formed in that way. So I'm going to bring my remarks to a close because we have others to hear from, but I cannot help but say the thousands and thousands of volunteers who came alongside, and to invoke the name of our dear friend Iman Muhammad Najib, who was our treasurer, who just died back in December. And I think of Reverend Alcina Boozer, one of our first chief petitioners, and then Marilyn Keller took her place. Rabbi Kahan has been all along, and our legislative team led by Liz McKenna has been at it, and our ground game team has been at it, the Paternos and Simone, and so many others. So we want to hear from them now, and we'll have questions afterwards. But this is a day we can celebrate the law that we put together is constitutional. More than that, it's the right thing to do, morally and ethically, for the sake of our children and to save lives. Rabbi Kahana, please, if you'd go next.
Thank you. Rabbi Michael Kahana from Congregation Beth Israel, one of the chief petitioners on Measure 114. Just want to reiterate what Pastor Knudsen said, how important Measure 114 is to saving lives. And so many of our traditions place at the center that responsibility of saving life. Gun violence in our country, gun violence in our state is a terrible reality. And it's something that we cannot stand passively by and say we can't do anything. We can't stand idly by while our neighbors, while our children are bleeding. We have to make a difference. And we came together as a community, and the whole state voted on Measure 114 and decided this should be the law of the state. And today, the Oregon Court of Appeals has confirmed Measure 114 is constitutional, is the law of our state. And when it is fully implemented, it is going to immediately start saving lives. It is going to make our state safer from gun violence. It's going to keep our children safer from gun violence. And we are serving as a model for the nation and recognizing that we can do something. So many people have gotten this message that there's nothing you can do. Throw up your hands. You just have to be passive. You can't make a difference. We've proven ordinary people came together and said, we can't just stand by and watch this happen. We have to do something. And we did. And it is such a testament to the power of democracy, to the power of the people, to the power of a vision for making a change. I couldn't be more proud of this incredible group that have come together. And thank you to all of the volunteers and all who voted, majority of our state, that voted to make Measure 114 the law in our state. And thank you, and the lives that will be saved, thank you as well.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good afternoon. My name is Marilyn Keller, and I am the third chief petitioner on ballot Measure 114. I am known as the vocal instrument of Lift Every Voice Oregon, and it is my job and my duty to sing the anthem that we adopted as the name of our organization. And if you know it, please rise and sing it with me. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that that the present has brought us, facing a rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. I would just like to invoke all of the hearts and minds and spirits of those that began this journey with us. And we still consider you part of this consortium, part of our family. Many, many wonderful ideas were birthed and born up in our fireside room kitchen and in our library here at this church and downstairs in the fellowship hall, where we celebrated the passage of ballot measure 114 in November of 2022. We stand here ready to dance, but we still have many more steps that need to be taken. And when we do get to that point in time, when it's time to rejoice and it says, you know, praise God with the lute and the harp and with dance and with the cymbals and with drums. As for us and our houses, we will continue to serve the Lord. I can only say to those who are watching and still part of this journey, please continue to support Lift Every Voice Oregon, the Alliance for Safety here, and all of Ceasefire, Moms Demand Action, Giffords. Please continue to support these organizations in their efforts to bring about real, true change and justice. We're just the first steps on this journey, and we have many more to take, and we're just gonna keep our eyes on the prize and our intentions bright and pure. And I'm here to say, we just did.
The legal dream team.
I'm Liz McKenna. I have worked on the legislative team for 6 years now. No, it's a long time, since the beginning. And it's been, I was retired as an attorney, but I still wanted, you know, to do things that made a difference. And I was so lucky to become part of this group, and I'm thrilled that we've had such a good journey. The Court of Appeals, from my perspective, gave all Oregonians a gift today. They basically issued their opinion at 8 o'clock this morning, and it overturned a ruling by a single judge out in Harney County that had blocked Measure 114 from going into effect. It's been 825 days. I counted them because I knew it was a long time. And they did it, maybe you haven't printed out the decision, but it's not too thick. It's 25 pages. They're good pages. They didn't leave any doubt or mince any words in saying that it's constitutional and that the judge was incorrect. And I just want to read what they said because it's important. They said Measure 114 is facially constitutional under the Oregon Constitution based on the established legal test. In rejecting the court's rulings, they said the trial court's analysis was, quote, it did not adhere to the legal framework that we are required to follow, which, if followed, it would have made most of the court's findings irrelevant to its legal decision. That pretty much says it all, that it was headed in the wrong direction from the beginning, and it ended in the wrong direction, and they have corrected it, and we are extremely thankful for that. The attorneys for the state made that argument throughout, that here's the right direction. Finally, they've been proven correct and have given Measure 114 a life again to move forward. I know everyone is saying thank you to all of the volunteers, and I want to just say thank you to all the voters. I mean, there were, thousands of them. We had the 975,862 people voted for this measure, and over, I believe, about 400,000 were in the rural areas. This isn't just an I-5 corridor measure. This is for all of Oregon, and now all Oregonians win. They are ahead. So we are so thankful for this this measure and it passing. Where is it going from here? I can't, a good lawyer never, and I was a lawyer and now I'm a legislative aide, but you can't really predict and tell exactly what the outcome will be, but we've heard that the other side, the two gun owners who brought this case, are going to file an appeal. They have 35 days in which to file an appeal to ask the Supreme Court, the Oregon Supreme Court, which is where it goes, to review the case. Now, unlike with the Court of Appeals, it's in the middle, the Supreme Court doesn't have to take the case, and it may not take the case. They get a time to look at the petition, asking them to review it. They can decide, and they can take a little while to do that, so there'll be some time for them to look at it. And while that happens, while they're making that decision even, the stay is in place still, so we can't implement it today, but we hope very soon. If they decide not to take it, it goes back to the Court of Appeals, opinion will be entered, and the decision will be entered, and the stay will be lifted. If the Supreme Court, and that's what we're looking for, I mean, I welcome the Supreme Court's review. We believe if they reviewed it, we think they would come to the same conclusion as the Court of Appeals. During that time, if they are deciding it, the stay will probably stay in effect. So we're just patient. We've been patient a long time. We can wait, but we want this to take effect. It's as soon as possible. This is a good process. It may seem frustrating to people who aren't involved with the legal system, but it is a good process. We don't make rash decisions or do things on impulse. There are judges, all elected by the people of the state of Oregon, and they have a review process and look at things carefully, and the opinion evaluated everything carefully. So we applaud the judicial system and all the hardworking judges who have put in so much time on this case. We also thank all the lawyers, particularly the Attorney General's lawyers, and Ellen Rosenblum worked on it and had her lawyers work on it. Now Dan Rayfield is having his lawyers work on it, and we're so excited about that. He had a comment this morning. He said, Dan said, Oregonians voted for this, and it's time we move ahead with common sense safety measures. Today's decision is a big step toward gun safety in Oregon. I couldn't believe, in that more, support that more. One last group that I'd like to thank, and they relate to the legal process, the Lift Every Voice and some other groups filed an amicus brief. That's a friend of the court brief in the Court of Appeals, and we think it helped influence their decision. You never quite know. But I just want to read the list because it's so impressive. Lift Our Voice, of course, Ceasefire Oregon, you'll hear from one of their representatives, the Central Oregon Gun Safety Advocates, a small group that's developed in Bend, the Jewish Federation of Greater Portland, League of Women Voters of Oregon, the Muslim Educational Trust, Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon, Viva Inclusive Migrant Network, and the Albina Ministerial Alliance. It's a broad, diverse coalition. We've all joined together, and they have contributed to this. Our attorney, Nadia Dahab, was wonderful, wrote an excellent, it was just a wonderful brief, and I talked to her this morning, and she was very happy, and we all are. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
My name is Jim Jagger. I'm an attorney in Eugene, Oregon, lifelong resident of Oregon. Became involved with this group probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I want to address a couple of things really, really briefly. The two words that speak to me the most is thankful and remembrance, okay? Because we are thankful, yes, the Court of Appeals decided it's constitutional. Constitutes something, a law that makes it safer for every one of your neighbors. It doesn't allow guns get in the hands of somebody who's going to be violent. Out of the hands of people who are self-harming that causes pain. And that pain is why we are here. We want to avoid it in the future, okay? Yes, thanks to the Court of Appeals for following the law. Thank the federal court for also finding it constitutional in a separate action before. It's all been done. And thankful to the voters, the people who went out and get signatures so it gets on the ballot. Those of you who have voted, those of you who talk to your neighbors to make sure that it gets passed. And this group here, I think, no one has political aspirations here. They're here as a response to the pain of loss of life. And that's where I get the remembrance, the word remembrance. You know, we don't have time to go through Uvalde, Umpqua, list them all. They all evoke pain. That's the reason we don't want that to happen again. So remember, never forget the pain that's been caused by the misuse of firearms. We never want it to happen again. Don't let it happen. We have a law, but it only works if it becomes active. You see in the public a violation or something you're concerned about, someone in pain, you report it to a friend, a neighbor, law enforcement, whoever. Let's stop this, okay? We've gotten a step. You've seen an incredible step today. Celebration, yes, but it's really not a word for celebration when you're talking about pain and avoidance of it. Thank you.
Thank you to our legislative team. It was a much larger team, writing some of the best legislation this country has seen to accomplish some things. Somehow my list of partner organizations, there are many, many, many on that. The top of the list actually was the Albino Ministerial Alliance. I got inverted, it looks like. But Dr. Haynes has been with us, so we've been running together for 30 years on justice. He goes way back, and he's going to say some words that are going to inspire us because there is so much more to do, socially, economically, making sure our young people are surrounded with love, how we help people make it in the society. Dr. Haynes, please bring us the word.
Moments. There are historical, pivotal moments that will launch us forward, or moments that will launch us backwards in history. A few days ago, we celebrated Bloody Sunday, Selma, Alabama. Moments on that bridge with John Lewis, Jose Williams, many others in SCLC and SNCC. At the same time, that pivotal moment when we were awaiting the federal judge, Frank Johnson. What is his word? What is his judgment? Can we march or we cannot march? In those moments when we went to the edge of that bridge and began to wait, and as the stormtroopers from the Alabamas began to rush, and John Lewis got his head cracked, and many others were beaten that day, called it Bloody Sunday because the blood ran on that bridge like it ran in the river. Waiting on that decision, that judicial decision. Here we stand once again. We were waiting on the decision of the voters of this great state, Oregon, whether we would be able to go forth with the election. And they answered and gave us the okay. Now, once again, we come to a historical, pivotal moment. And we got our answer in terms of that the people of Oregon want a safe environment for their children and generations to come, and bringing an end to gun violence. This pivotal moment will set the course, one way or another, for the future of our great state here in Oregon. Beware that there's a waiting time, as we waited for Judge Frank Robinson to come, and people got killed. Minister got killed. There were waiting moments, but yet we stood steadfast in those moments. And when that decision by federal judge Frank Robinson came through, there was jubilance. It took a while. Things didn't change overnight. But Congress passed the 1965 voter rights bill that opened up the door for blacks and whites and people of brown and other immigrants to be able to have the right to vote. That pivotal moment launched the history of our great nation. Once again, we stand at this point of moment, and we pray, and we march, and we fight, and we petition, and we enter the courts to say that victory is close at hand. Moments. Amen. Thank you very much.
This campaign could not have taken place without thousands and thousands upon volunteers. And just a 30-second story. After we got Rabbi Kahana to be a chief petitioner, a dear friend, and after Reverend Alcina Boozer the first go-around, and Marilyn Keller the second, and Dr. Haynes came on board, and so many others, Dr. Hennessy from Vancouver Avenue Baptist wanted to be here today, but he cannot be, and we got calls from other faith leaders because we pulled this together so quickly. But just to anybody out there thinking about running good campaigns, it takes lots of organization, it takes a lot of sweat, a lot of energy, a lot of hope. But we formed it actually in a car going to Salem after we began the movement, trying to get on the ballot within a month and a half. And I looked at Liz, you're head of the legal team. I looked at my wife Tamara, you're head of the youth outreach team. Marilyn, you're head of music and the arts. Joe and Janie Paterno, you're going to be head of the ground game. So what's that? And then Simone Martin came alongside as staff. And those three, if they'd come forward and talk about, just for a few minutes, the incredible number of Oregonians in every county who signed up to take this. And Joe actually, well, I'm not going to go there, but he had to go to Harney County to testify. And he held up very well for us. And we are so glad for you. Joe, Janie, and Simone, please come forward.
Again, my name is Joe Paterno. I'm on the field team, and I'm happy to be here, particularly on this day after going down to Burns and testifying to see this ruling come on our side. And I want to introduce my two cohorts.
Yes, I'm Janie Paterno, and I was Joe's sidekick and cheerleader through the whole thing.
I'm Simone Martin. I was the office coordinator. Staff, volunteers.
We're here on behalf of the more than 2,500 faithful servants who worked so hard, many since 2018, to get signatures. First time we ran into obstacle of time. The second time we ran into the obstacle of COVID. And as they say, the third time was the charm. It was still very difficult. We needed 118,000 signatures. And after the mass shootings at Uvalde and Buffalo, people came forward in droves saying, this is something that I can do to make a difference, to help with these terrible incidents, or mass shootings, suicides, etc. They worked to get over 162,000 signatures to qualify us. And then after they got the signatures to qualify us, they worked hard to get out the vote, to promote Measure 114, and to make a difference. We want to thank them. We want to thank all the voters who supported this bill. And we know that we do have a road to go, but we're going to get there. Thank you.
You know, we are blessed in Oregon to have some incredible elected officials. We couldn't always get our legislature to move when we wanted, so we had to take it into hand to get it done with citizens. But our elected officials in Oregon, especially today in this climate we're living in, we are blessed. We look at our congressional delegation and our statewide leaders. This could not have gone forward without the excellent work of our state attorney general, Ellen Rosenblum, who happens to be here today. But when you combine ethics, excellence, a sense of serving as an elected leader, which you did and have done, and we are so thankful. So we can't say that enough. Without the attorney generals across this country now who are standing up for various reasons, including our current one, we would be in trouble. So we thank our elected leaders for what you are doing. We pray for you every day. So next, we want to ask Penny Okamoto to come up. Ceasefire Oregon, she's been at this a long time, a dear, dear friend of all of us here. Penny, please, come on.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. A.G. Rosenblum, I'm so thrilled to see you here. Thank you so much. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for over 25 years now, gun violence prevention in the state of Oregon and federal level. And I've been married for 30 years, and my husband Russell is here today, and I'm so proud and happy that he's here, that I get to show him off, because he's done so much, and he has made the work that I do possible. It's on his shoulders right there. He made it happen. So thank you, Russell. And my thanks to everyone, spouses who have done that. So I want to say that. And mostly thank you for encouraging me to make sure that I tiptoe to the top shelf for the latest volume of Diderot. Thank you. Anyway, okay, so I've got so many people I want to thank. I want to thank the signature gatherers I already have here, the former A.G. Rosenblum, current A.G. Rayfield, and thank you all for helping to maintain the integrity of the initiative petition process. Sometimes we're concerned about the initiative process and the integrity. We want to maintain that, so thank you. What I want to do too, something that was mentioned earlier, I want to make sure that we honor all the people who have suffered from gun violence, and because of their suffering, their loved ones or they themselves have taken up this cause. But it was from a lot of suffering, so we thank you, whether it's from the people from Buffalo, or for me, it goes all the way back to Columbine, the people in Uvalde. We honor you and we thank you. I just want to make sure that people know that we're thinking of them and remembering all of them. Several years ago, Reverend Mark Knutson, right here, lit a fire under the state of Oregon. Not just us, under the entire state of Oregon. He wanted to call a stop to call Stop Violence, and of course that was picked up by so many wonderful people, including my good friend Lynn Smells Lopez, and of course, make sure I got everybody here, Rabbi Mike Kahana, Marilyn Keller, Iman Najib, Reverend Boozer, Liz McCanna, Jim Jagger, Joe and Janie Paterno, Joanne Skirving, so many other people who jumped into this and dedicated hours and years of their life to get these important bills passed. The hardworking people in Levo, thousands of great Oregonians enacted two incredible goals that I had when I started back 25 years ago with the Million Mile March. And one of them was to ban high capacity magazines, done. And the other was permit to purchase, done. And that's just incredible. Honestly, in 1999 when I started, I did not think we would pass this in Oregon in my lifetime. So it's pretty amazing. And it's a little important to have some history here too. So when we get here, so like how did we get here? We got here because 25 years ago, Donna Dees started the Million Mile March. And that was picked up by so many great people, like the late, wonderful, incredible Lisa Larson Thurkill. It also was because of people who started Ceasefire Oregon and the Ceasefire Oregon Education Foundation. That's gonna be Julie Wheeler, Julie Sterling, and Elise Gautier, Sean Alford, so many wonderful people who took their time to help lay this foundation, who taught me so much. We also had great works, people at the Million Mile March, Mary Lee Black, Dana Sanchez Quist, and I already mentioned Lisa Thurkill. Things that people don't think about, the research that goes into this, the research, the people who are actually researching gun violence prevention, Daniel Webster, Dr. Krafasi, people at Johns Hopkins, people all over the country who pour their lives into this research, and then we put our policy on this research so we know it's evidence-based and it's the right thing to do. Thank you to them. Let's see, where am I? Okay. So all the time, all the work, all the people meeting and talking to legislators, creating documents, filing documents, a lot of people throughout Oregon. After IP17 became Measure 114, we were very pleased to have other groups come alongside us with much welcome support. Moms Demand Action, Giffords, the Alliance. Jessica Marks in particular has fought with dignity, grace, and compassion. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you to everyone who's in these groups who has done incredible work. Not everyone supported us. We know that. Some Democrats doubted we could do this. Some tried to talk us out of our goals, as if, right? No, they're not going to talk people out of this. And so you just can't talk good people out of passing laws that we know will save lives. LEVO and their leaders have always been committed to this cause. Wrapping up, just proof that Oregonians are serious about gun violence prevention, and also reminding people that gun violence prevention is a cause legislators and candidates win on. 57,000 more Oregonians voted yes on Measure 114 than voted for the Democratic governor. 57,000 more, okay? This was a great law. It's gonna save a lot of lives, and I'm thrilled about it. So, and why did people vote for this? Because gunshots are the leading cause of death for US kids and teens, and we refuse to turn away. Thank you all for being here and for your support. Thank you, Russell.
Waji Sayed from the Muslim Educational Trust could not be here today, but he always reminds us that the Muslim community turned out in record numbers for this bill, as well as the Latino community, immigrants in this state who could not vote but could help to cheer us on, but others who could vote. And so Francisco Aguirre was hoping to be here from Viva, was not able to be here as well. But again, the broad section of Oregonians, those with Basic Rights Oregon and others who we stood together saying the violence must stop. Frank So is here from Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon. They have been just a great partner. We've all been part of it at different times. Frank, if you would share a few words from the broad ecumenical community interfaith.
Thank you.
A gift to Oregon being here.
Thank you. Frank So, Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon. I think there is a reason why so many nonprofits and other organizations support Measure 114. We know that, as Maya Angelou reminds us, when you know better, you do better. And I think here the voters of Oregon have realized that and made Measure 114 a law. And today we stand with Lift Every Voice Oregon, with responsible gun owners, and with those people who know that this is a step for a healthier and a better Oregon. Thank you.
Next is, once we got this in the ballot through Lift Every Voice Oregon, a lot of other organizations came alongside, and one was the Alliance for Safety, Oregon Safety. And here today is Emmy Mark, who's going to say a few words. And they had a great event in Salem yesterday on some of the legislation that is coming up in the state legislature.
Hi, my name is Emmy Dumerck, and I'm with the Alliance for a Safe Oregon, and we are so happy that to be here today to celebrate this victory. We know that Measure 114 is going to save lives. These represent some of the most evidence-based policies to prevent deaths and injuries. Oregon has a disproportionately high number of firearm injuries, particularly firearm suicides, and that is something that we can address. Measure 114 goes a long way in taking steps to help folks that are in those moments of crisis to have time and space so that they can go on to live healthy lives. Researchers from Johns Hopkins estimated that had Measure 114 already been implemented, over 1,000 Oregonian lives would be saved. That is what we are here for today. That is why we are in this fight, and we will continue to fight for this to be fully implemented. So thank you so much.
I'd ask two clergy to come up. Reverend Robin Weisner, if you come up and speak and come alongside. My friend, please come alongside Pastor Wheeler, Dr. Wheeler. If you'd speak and then just... and then we'll be bringing this to a close.
Hi, I'm Pastor Robin Weisner, W-I-S-N-E-R. What does democracy look like? You're looking at it. Now let's put a face on it. My son was the first homicide, 2003. Families. Voters have said that they care. It's amazing when you see a group of people who could come and visit your home and care about what's going on with your children or loved ones that you have lost. This is what democracy looks like. Thank you.
I'm Dr. David Wheeler, formerly the senior pastor of the First Baptist Church of Portland, currently associated with Grant Park Baptist Church just a few blocks from here. And Pastor Weisner and others know about an organization called Interfaith Partnership for Action and Collaboration. Dr. J.W. Matt Hennessy, who wasn't able to be here today, was a founder of that organization. And I think just a few moments ago when Pastor Knudsen started this off, we went through the roll call of all the civic groups, all of the religious groups that have backed this cause of reducing gun violence and making folk safer. The Interfaith Partnership works from the ground up in conversations between law enforcement officers here in Portland, Portland Police Bureau, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Department, and others. Conversations between law enforcement and citizens, religious leaders, civic leaders, business leaders, many black and brown leaders who have had a justified attitude of resentment and distrust with our law enforcement officials. But we have worked together. Measure 114, when it's finally put into effect, and it will be soon, will swoop down from above to put some regulations and some boundaries on access to guns. An organization like IPAC, Interfaith Partnership, from the ground up, working with families and community leaders and those who've experienced, like Pastor Weisner, gun violence in their own families. We will work from the ground up to have those conversations and build those relationships that will make folk less likely to look for guns and to resort to gun violence to resolve disputes. So we're all in this together. Organizations that have been at this podium and others that aren't mentioned, we're all in this together.
So that's going to conclude the press conference itself. We'll take some questions. I do want to say this. When I was chairing the Northwest Health Foundation, the first chair was our wonderful Republican Senator Mark Hatfield, back when there were two parties that were working together in ways. I don't want to go there right now, but I want to say this. I want to say that as a foundation, we looked at the World Health Organization understanding of health. It's complete, and we took the word complete out. But it's social, it's physical, it's mental emotional. We added the word spiritual and social. Anytime there's a gun incident in this state, it has incredible physical impact that we talk about. You hear the numbers, but it's far beyond that. You go to Uvalde, that entire school was affected emotionally and mentally. They were affected spiritually. How can a human being kill another human being with a gun? And socially, the whole student body in town was affected. That happens everywhere there's gun violence. So the cost societally is huge, much bigger. And we're calling for our elected leaders, our state leaders, our federal leaders, our civic Multnomah and Portland leaders to reinvest in our children and youth in big ways. There's a lot of good groups we're working with that could not be here today, who are doing this kind of work, and so are we as clergy and people of faith. That's where we begin, and building and weaving a just society where everybody can have life, have medical care, have health care, have education, have hope, and give our young people jobs for the summer, and put our resources there rather than the wasted resources around violence. And with Lift Every Voice Oregon and all the other organizations here, we stand together against any kind of violence towards our neighbor, whether that neighbor be here or someplace else in this global village that is God's village, not ours. And so we want to stand together for the well-being of every human being today and recommit ourselves to that. So Lift Every Voice Oregon has a broad agenda and a focused agenda, and we will continue about that. So questions, please.
Yeah, I guess my first question, Ariel with point 6. I guess my first question would be, what are the next steps, right? You guys got, a decision that you wanted. So what are you going to be doing? What's a tangible thing that you will be doing now that fight is?
There's some important bills in the state legislature. We'll be coming alongside others to help move through. There are social programs with our young people that we'll be working on with other organizations that are not here today but would like to have been. So how do we weave that community? That's never going to be complete. So we'll continue on. I really want to underscore too, for many, many years, the interfaith work in Oregon has been phenomenal.
Yes.
Sometimes people want to say, well, you have the Jewish community here, the Muslim, the Christian. No, we have woven for years together the beloved community with people of just goodwill as well. And we will continue to do that on every issue that has to do with human well-being and the earth itself, because we're intertwined with the creation, as our tribal leaders will remind us. If somebody else feels in the spirit, jump in with. Any other questions?
So how will, this measure, right, this might be a big question, how will this help curb gun violence here in the Rose City? I mean, myself as a reporter, I've covered several deadly shootings just in Portland alone, and I know there are others that have happened just this year. I mean, what's being done here locally, just in Portland?
Large capacity magazines. You talk to law enforcement, talk to our pastors who are out working the streets. They're finding hundreds of shells, 80 at one stop. So you take away those large capacity magazines, you immediately cut down the damage that can be done. When you have to learn how to use a gun, if you're going to buy one, you understand the damage it can do. And there's no training right now like that. And if you put the complete background check on that, someone who may want to take their own life in a moment of crisis would not be able to get that gun, or if they want to take it to somebody else. So these are so concrete. As Penny Okamoto shared, the research is there. This will save so many lives. But there's so much work to be done besides this bill. Please.
I'll let Pastor speak on Dawson Park. Yesterday when we was down in Salem with the Alliance Safety, there was a organization called Love is Stronger. Mm-hmm. He mentioned what he has in one young person who has no ability in the family to buy shoes, food, or clothes. But within a matter of 2 months' time, I believe, he had taken 3 guns, handguns, street value of $1,500. No shoes, no food, but how is the guns in a kid's hand like that? So the effect of Rose Garden, the effect how it there. Pastor, did you want to speak of Dawson Park?
I just want to say, Capacity Magazine is very critical to the killings that have taken place at Dawson Park. Approximately 200 shots, 200 shots approximately, went over a park with a child care center and a school in the back, If you eliminate that, you eliminate a great portion of people that are killed even by straight bullets. And so we have to understand that this bill is critically important to eliminating that.
I'd like to underscore, too, that at the core of this were Dr. King's 6 principles of nonviolent direct action. And our students and young people are really taking these to heart Franklin High School, we worked with them, Central Catholic, Grand High School, Jefferson. These young leaders were at the core of this campaign. And to every young person out there, I want them to hear, we'll tell you personally, but you're not the future leaders, you are leaders right now. And you inspire us. So whether you're 12, 11, 15, 18, you are out there and we're going to walk with you alongside, behind, but continue to lead because you're not the future leaders, you're leaders right now in this city. Thank you. I get to the press, thank you. You are so important. We're going to say, you know, we're telling you again and again. You are the modern day storyteller, so keep on telling stories, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thanks, appreciate you.